pass to Johnson. Johnson still going. Dummies again. Johnson into the wonder Brown. Brown goes in to score.
Oh, he's serving it down the touchline. Oh, this is unbelievable. They're going to win it. Oh, what scenes here, what scenes. LeBron James, a shot in history. LeBron stands alone. The NBA's all-time scoring record now belongs to LeBron James.
All right, let's rip in. Searley Talk Sports here in the saddle for another week. And shit, was it a great weekend of sport we witnessed last weekend. We've got a new champ in the UFC. Hamzat getting the dub over Duplessis. Hardly one to write home about. If you didn't watch the fight, I wouldn't bother with the highlights. Certainly one for the wrestling and grappling purists, but a great win from him. Of course, we had the Warriors getting the dub Friday night at Mount Smart. We had the darts on Saturday. I've got to say as well, if you haven't been to the darts before, this was my first time going to it in Auckland. Last time I went, it was down in the Tron, but shit, was the atmosphere elite. 6,000 odd people there on Saturday night at Spark Arena. Reminded me of the glory days of the Sevens. Everyone dressed up, enjoying some beverages, getting around it. It was just bloody good fun. In between games, it's great. They chuck on some bangers, some good sing-alongs. Everyone's ripping in. It's just a great vibe, a great atmosphere. And I will be booking a table there with my mates, assembling a crew next year for sure, because it is one of the great nights. And if you went Friday and Saturday night, that is a huge lift on the steam. But people are saying they literally had the best weekend of the year so far. So shout out to the people that organised the darts. Luke Littler getting the dub in that too. Looks like a great human being. Westlake boys, huge. Another win in the North Harbour Secondary Schools competition, the greatest school in the world. Matt Fleming scoring a huge try as well. A great finish, only 15 years old. Chucked it up on my story. Got so many reactions from it. The bloke is the North Island 400 metre record holder at the moment, I believe. Still in year 11. Looks like a real athlete. Warriors, if you're listening, let's sign him up. But I believe they take on the Auckland champs and Kings this weekend to represent the Upper North Island at Nationals. So up the mighty lake. Then, of course, on my Sunday, headed along to Te Arai Links. It was a rough day for Shooter on the golf course. That video's gone viral. First tee. Absolutely Hillary duffed one. The boys loved it too. Lads were cracking up. It didn't get much better for him either. I think, 15th or 16th hole, frustration got the better of him and he tossed his driver. So that was a great afternoon. Played some dusty golf myself, but it wasn't as bad as that bloke. Luckily kept her under triple figures, and I think it's fair to say golf season is back. I'm a fair weather golfer, only really play in the summer, but I'm going to really start getting into it now. Look to drop the old handicap down. Would love to get it down to a 10 or an 11 before winter strikes and I hang up the boots again and turn shit again and then start the whole process again next summer. Shit, is it frustrating stuff. All Blacks, good win. Wallabies, one of the upsets of the year. You love to see it. So lots to cover off in today's pod. Plus, of course, we've got another big weekend this weekend. The world of sport continues to deliver. But before we tuck the teeth into all of that, of course, TAB bonus code. Didn't have one last week. Shit did I hear from ya. You guys love these. So this week, I've got one again, and the code this week is Searley. So, enter the code Searley, place a first, second, or third try scorer bet on the NRL this weekend. If your player doesn't score, your bet loses. You'll get up to $20 back as bonus cash, limit of one per customer. So again, the code Searley, first, second, or third try scorer bet on any one NRL game. Your player doesn't score, money back up to $20 in bonus cash. Shout out to the TAB. If you're having a punt this weekend, get around them, the best bookies in New Zealand. And also, while we're on shout-outs, Cam Ralston, unreal. Got the win yesterday on the Dana White Contender Series to book himself a contract in the UFC. Did it with a round 1 TKO, a real statement performance. Another one of these CKB fighters that continues to punch above their weight and make their way into the top level of the UFC. It's just so good to see. Seems like a great bloke as well. So well done to him. A huge performance on one of the biggest stages Dana White Contender Series, so much pressure on things like that, but he took the most of his opportunity, got the dub, walks away with a contract. You just love to see that. But lots to get through today. NRL, rugby, punting, with a couple other bits and pieces sprinkled in there. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. How good? Round 24 in the books, just 3 more weeks of regular season footy before we get down to the crunch time. Finals football, it's so close you can almost taste it. Release that inhibition, feel the rain on your skin. No one else can feel it for you, only you can let it free. One of the great songs, that one, Unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield. If you're not 100% familiar, go check her out for sure. But that took an absolute tangent. Didn't expect to go down that route, but it was a great round of footy, round 24, so let's tuck into the talking points and results from it. Panthers 18, Storm 22 to kick off the week with your Thursday night footy. What a game this one was. Finals footy came early. Expect at least one of these teams to be in the grand final, and both of them delivered. I don't think either side will be disappointed. Yes, one came away with the dub and the 2 points. The other walked away with nothing. But this was just such a high-quality clash. Both teams missing key players as well. I reckon both of them would have taken a lot out of this game of footy. I thought for the first 40 minutes, the Panthers really dominated. They completed at 100%, smothered the Melbourne Storm possession-wise, and just looked like they were going to be too strong for the visiting side. Credit to Melbourne, though. Even without Hughes and Pappenhausen, they were able to absorb all of that pressure and the territory disadvantage and then turn it around in the second half. I thought Harry Grant was outstanding. His form over the past month has been massive, and that final play in Golden Point was just elite from him. Eyes up footy, identified that everyone was going for the kicker to try pull off the charge down. He threw the dummy, everyone bought it. He went in under the post. I wonder if that was a bit of a warning shot to other teams as well. You can't just assume that teams are going to go for a field goal now, especially if you're defending against the Melbourne Storm, because the wizard, Harry Grant, will make you pay for that. I thought Coates was exceptional again, 230 run metres and 2 tries. His aerial threat is just immense. And then Stefano Utoikamanu in the forward pack, 134 run metres, 38 tackles, 0 missed in 48 minutes. He's been so impressive post-Origin, and I questioned his selection for Origin, but in this window post it for Melbourne, he's just been unreal. He's another guy that's joined the Storm system, and he just goes to another level. Again, his form over the past month for the Storm, in the absence of Nelson Asafa-Solomona, he's become their big body, that enforcer that they envisioned him to be, and I thought he was really good in this game as well. Of course, the elephant in the room, the obstruction chat, when talking about this game, that is straight away where your mind goes, and it is a shame because this penalty has been the overriding factor instead of that Harry Grant masterclass and that try that he put on. But for me, Grant, he 100% played for the penalty, and as an out-and-out fan of the game, I don't like it at all. For me, it's similar when a defender oversells an obstruction or a high shot, they stay down, or when someone touches the legs of a 7 after they kick the ball and they had some GST just to get the penalty. I really don't want to see stuff like that in our game, players milking penalties. At the same time, though, by the letter of the law, it 100% was a penalty. You can't have blockers on field goal attempts. Moses Leota shouldn't have been standing where he was, and Harry Grant was smart enough to identify that. Also identify he wasn't going to get to Cleary in time to charge the kick down, and he did what he did in order to have to get his team the win, which, look, that's the players' single focus the whole week. They prepare the whole week, Monday through to Thursday in this case, just to get the win. The sole focus is getting the 2 points, so you can't blame them for doing whatever it takes in order to get that result for their team. It's just a shame it came in these type of circumstances, especially with a play like that where you'd have to say Grant 100% milked it. I chucked it up on my story, a poll for the listeners, and I think 80% of you agreed that he really did sell it. But look, he played to the rules, and in the end it was the winning of the game for his team, so fair enough to him. Overall, a great game, a quality contest between two sides that I expect to be there when the going gets tough and the tough get going in a few weeks' time. One of my favourite games of the season so far. A bloody doozy to start off the week. Friday night footy kicked off with a dub for the Warriors as well. You love to see it. 14-10 against the Dragons. We're back in the winner's circle and we're back in the top 4. It wasn't pretty, but we got the 2 points, and come the end of the season, that is all that matters. And before I get into this game, I do have to say that pre-game for Indigenous round, that was something special. Goosebumps season. If that didn't make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, you're either not a true blue Kiwi or you don't have much body here. Just fish leading the way with the hoy in hand. So elite. The blackout, those jerseys, the atmosphere, the whole thing just oozed aura, and I reckon that is one of the best moments I have witnessed pre-game at Mount Smart. It has to be right up there behind the homecoming game for me. Man, if you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. I thought it was truly special. But onto the game itself, and there's no denying that I thought we were our own worst enemy for large periods of that game. For about 60 minutes there, unforced errors and really poor discipline hurt us so badly. On the discipline, for me, the hardest thing to swallow was they were piggyback penalties. Dragons coming out of their own end, tackle 3, tackle 4, we give away a soft one and allow them just to get back into our field position. Then on our errors, I thought they were at the worst possible time as well. So often it was when we'd worked our way down into the red zone, we're ready to run some shape early on in a tackle set, and just little lapses in concentration. I think Fish was guilty of one, Jacko Ford guilty of a couple, pretty uncharacteristic. I did think we looked like a team with a lot of pressure and expectation on our shoulders. We so desperately wanted to get back into the winning circle, and I think we played within ourselves for the large majority of our game. There were 2 momentum-changing moments for me, though. The first one, CHT's hit on Flanagan. Fuck, that was huge, and you could see the lads really got a lift out of that. And the second moment for me was just Tanner running the ball in the second half. I thought we looked so much better when Boyd just dug deep into the line. I thought his kicking game was really good, and I thought the last 20 minutes that he produced was massive in us getting the result as well. The positives for me, last 20 minutes of the game, when we reduced our errors, our discipline improved. I thought we looked really comfortable in the grind. Shout out to our back 3 as well. Roger, Tane and Dell, all combining for just under 600 run meters. Tane in particular, partner had a baby the day before. She's the unsung hero for allowing him to play, but for Tane to put in a shift like that off the back of no doubt limited sleep, what he puts his body through, not the biggest lad, but he is so brave. I thought he was great. I thought Wets was unreal in that second half too. Fangai clearly got the better of him in the first half. 2 tries off the back of defensive lapses, 101 from Pompey, but I thought he bounced back beautifully, won that battle in the second half, scored 2 tries late to help us get the dub. One of them shouldn't have been given for obstruction, but we get so many calls, harsh ones that go against us, that I think it's only fair we bank the odd one. He's such an underrated player for us, often flies under the radar in terms of fan recognition. He's got great footwork on attack, and defensively, he is one of our best. He's locked down that left edge all year. He's then switched over to the right as of late. That is not an easy thing to do as a centre. So full credit to Wets for the season he has strung together so far, and I thought he was crucial in us getting the dub in this game. Overall, just happy we got the 2 points. I think the boys will free up a little more on attack this week as well after relieving some of that pressure that comes with losing 3 games in a row. And when you look at our wins this year, only 3 of our 13 dubs have come in games where our opponents have scored over 20 points in total. So I think as fans, we just need to realise that things aren't always going to be pretty when it comes to our performances. But if I'd told you at the start of this year that we would be sitting in 4th at the end of round 25 ahead of the 4-time defending champions, the Panthers, on the ladder, I don't know about you, but I would 100% have taken that every day of the week. So I think we need to shift our mindset a little as a fan base. It's okay to not be 100% happy with the performances that we are getting, because we have been our own worst nightmare for large periods in games lately. But to get the win against the side that had just come off back-to-back dubs against the Raiders and the Sharks, I think we just be grateful for the 2 points. We bank that every day of the week, and we hope that this side that has been hit so hard with key injuries to star players really starts to build some confidence and momentum heading into finals. I reckon as fans, we just need to get around this team a little bit more. I know the diehards, we're all still positive, and you've been saying it in my comments to me for weeks now on the pod, YouTube, Spotify, saying, I agree 100% with you, Searley. I think it's just some of the bandwagoners. I don't know what more they want from the boys. To be sitting in fourth this time of year, that is something that, 5 or 6 years ago, we would never have believed imaginable. One other thing as well, Aaron Clark kicking the ball. Saw it against the Dogs, and then here again against the Dragons. Is this a tactic of ours? Against the Dogs, I thought it was just something that happened by mistake. He got the ball, last tackle, threw up a pretty nice bomb, but I didn't really think it was a designed play. There's no way that this is an accident now for me, though. This has happened now back-to-back weeks, as if Clark already wasn't impressive enough. He's a meter eater, a workhorse, our Simon Mannering medalist winner this year, in my opinion. Should be Dally M Lock of the Year for 2025 as well. He's now adding a kicking game to his repertoire. This is literally every forward's dream, to be given a kicking license and become a last tackle option. Looks like he can put some serious height on some of these kicks too, if he gets a hold of them 100%. So I don't mind the play personally. When you look at Tanner, great kicking game, but is height and high bombs on attack his specialty? Not really. Same as Chanel. If we can get a couple ugly torpies that make it tough for fullbacks to contain on last tackle from Aaron Clark, then fuck it. Let's have a crack. Why not? And well done to Webby for identifying it too and allowing Aaron to do so if that is the case. Dogs, Roosters. Roosters 32, Dogs 12. The boys from Bondi, so impressive in this one. Now in the 8, and I think they will stay there for the rest of the season. They got the Eels this week, should beat them. Storm, that'll be a Daryl Tuffy next weekend. And then the Bunnies in the last game of the season, which is a massive rivalry. And I think the Bunnies' sole focus for that one will be to try fuck the Roosters season and knock them out of finals footy. So they will be up for that one for sure. But for some reason, I feel like every year the Chooks, they play their best footy in the last 6 weeks of the comp. And since the return of Sam Walker from that ACL injury, they have gone to another level. For me, he's always had this game in him as well. The highlight plays where he chances his arm, pulls off stuff that only a few players in the game can do. But he also seems a lot more balanced and controlled post his ACL injury. He's doing the basics really well. And personally, I think a lot of that comes down to the combination he has with his halves partner in Hugo Savala. Daniel Tupou, a standout for sure. A hat-trick for him. Moves into 3rd on the NRL try-scoring ladder. Not sure what you can do to stop guys like him and Coates in the air now. You can't touch the player in the air. The NRL has outlawed that. I saw Brian To'o take a 10-metre run up from the in-goal to try and out-leap Coates, and still he fell just short in this game. We also saw Tuala try to out-jump Tupou. That didn't work, so he waited for him to try catch the ball, come down with it, make a tackle on him, but him and 3 other Bulldogs defenders just got skittled in the in-goal. Like bowling pins, they were sent flying, and he crashed over for another try. So not sure how opposition sides are going to try shut down 2 of the great leapers in the game. But back to Toops, he's just such an impressive player, and what a kick target he is for Walker. Walker looks like he's nailed those 20-metre cross-field chip kicks as well. He just has them on a dime at the moment. It's beautiful to watch. It's near impossible to defend, and I'll be incredibly surprised if the Roosters don't milk that tactic over the next few weeks and deep into finals footy. So the Roosters, they look the real deal. When you look at their side, they're so well balanced as well. They're getting healthy at the perfect time. Teddy at the back, finishes on the edges. They've got a big, fast, aggressive forward pack led by the big Kiwi and Nafahu White. Man, they are going to be hard to beat. For the Dogs, 37 missed tackles. That is so far from what they were producing at the start of the year. That's 2 pretty worrying losses for them now in their last 3 games as well. I still think they're a finals footy side for sure, but I do wonder if the season and all the changes they've made is just starting to take a little toll on them, and they're starting to get overtaken now by a few other teams. They still have the roster to win the comp on their day, so I'm not willing to write them off just yet. But with games against the Storm, Panthers and Sharks to finish out the season, I reckon we'll have a good indication as to where they're at over the next 2 weeks. Contenders or pretenders, I'm still yet to be 100% sold. And they've got so many threats though, so if they can sort out their defense and get it back to that lockdown level that it was at the start of the season, then it will be bloody hard to tip against them. No doubt Searley will be looking for a response from his boys this week. Saturday, Sharks 54, Titans 22. The Titans, for me, they didn't want to be here in the second half. They waved the white flag, brought in the COVID level 4 defense, gave up on this contest. A win that came at a cost for the Sharks, though. They lost their skipper, Cam McInnes, to an ACL, a massive blow for their season. Good to see Keanu Keaney back for the Titans. As a Kiwis fan, that gets me excited. But yeah, a game that was just a try-scoring fest. Great for your Maltese, but I don't think you can take too much away from this one. Broncos, Finns on the other hand. This was a great game. Broncos get the dub, 38 points to 28. I'll watch this one on replay Sunday morning after going to the darts on Saturday night. The Battle of Queensland lived up to the hype despite the injuries toll both sides are currently facing. For the Broncos, down Ezra, down Adam Reynolds, but the other superstars stood up. They'd lost their last 6 games without Reynolds, as I mentioned last week, but Reece Walsh, he said, hold my beer, took centre stage, and that was probably his best performance in at least the last year in a Broncos jersey. 249 run meters, a try assist, 2 line break assists. He had 7 from 8 off the rubber, 18 points in total. He was at his deadly best. He was attacking short sides. He was skinning them on the open side, creating opportunities for his outsides, kicked a 40-20. He was doing it all. And I think he relished in the opportunity to be the big dog for the night. All eyes were on him, and he seems like that type of player, right? Rises to the occasion, loves being the guy, and he was certainly it on Saturday night. Payne Haas, 177 run meters, 13 tackle breaks off 19 runs with 5 offloads, 28 tackles, and 0 missed. Shit, Samoa have got themselves a good one, and I'll touch more on that shortly, but what a performance from Payne, bullying an undersized and undermanned Dolphins forward pack through the middle and laying a heck of a platform for his superstar playmakers to then play off. Katoni Staggs, him and Shibasaki combined for 16 tackle breaks, and he was at his bullying best. He's such a strike weapon when he's in a mood like this, and his battle with the hammer was bums on seat stuff. Great to watch. Staggs, right up there with centre of the year for me, 100%. Herbie, Crichton, they're probably your front runners, but Katoni, he would be in the mix for sure. Wanted to shout out Trey Fuller as well, probably the individual try of the year or a real contender for me. Good to see him back. And there's some good smaller-bodied fullbacks in the game at the moment. Fuller, Walsh, Tuapiki, Jai Gray, Lil Pappy, they're all electric, they're fast on their feet, they're fearless ball runners as well. Do have to say his try was outdone though by that one to Kirapani. Billy Walters with the crossfield kick off the line break. That was Broncos footy at its finest, and what was a big win for Madge's lads. Bunnies 20, Eels 16. Won't touch too much on that game. Thought Tallis Duncan was really good though. Apart from that, just a good win for the Bunnies without Trelly Mitt. Super Sunday, Tigers 26, Manly 12. Disappointing performance for Manly. Season on the line, and they dished this shit up. I reckon we got the full Manly experience in this game. They scored in the first minute. Looked like rock stars, thought they were going to kick on then and pile on the points, but then they fell apart against a rapidly improving Tigers side. Adam Dewey again, starring for them in the halves. Benji looks to have his lads firing. They've still got a really slim chance at making finals. Shit, wouldn't that be a story? I thought the May brothers were really good in this game as well. And then Cowboys 38, Knights 4. Called this one last week as a shit game to finish the round, but a real chance for green ticks on bet slips. And that's exactly what it was. If you didn't win a bet in this game, perhaps it's time to reassess your punting strategy. Drinkwater, Dearden, Nanai, Purdue, Domi Young, a same-game multis wet dream right there. I had a win myself as well, but nothing like one punter who I saw turn $300 into 18K. If that was you and you're listening right now, would love to hear from you. Extremely well played. There were 78 errors in this game. The Cowboys had 46 sets on attack and produced 23 errors. Pretty wild they still won this game 38 points to 4. In fact, I think that was the most errors ever produced by a winning side in an NRL game. Just shows where the Knights are at the moment. They lose this game by 34 points. Adam O'Brien, surely that is his farewell tour now, kicking off over the next 3 games. I just can't see how they can keep him at the helm. Geez, they're wooden spoon contenders right now. And with Dylan Brown coming, surely they want to sort their shit out and hit the season next year. Kick off round 1 in Vegas with a win. Adam O'Brien, I just haven't seen evidence that he is the guy for them. And then finally, NRLW, shout out to our women's side. 20 points to 16, a loss to the Raiders. But under the circumstances, couldn't be more proud of the effort. 2 players sent off in the first 25 minutes and within 3 minutes of each other. It's the first time since 2003 that 2 players have been sent off from the same team in an NRL or NRLW game. I thought the first one for Gray was fair enough, and you could tell by her reaction to being sent off that she thought it was fair enough too. That was a pretty bad tackle. Hard to argue that one, but I'm not sure Taisha Ikanasio should have been sent off. I thought that was incredibly harsh in my opinion. It was made even more clear to me that later on in the round, Sharks player does the same against the Titans player to save a try, so you could argue that that was worse. She only got sent for 10. I don't think the referees got this one 100% right. I thought she lost her legs in wet conditions. There was no malice in this one, and it was a sending that eventually probably cost us the game, but still without Maliapo, Curtin and Nichols, this was a great shift. Shout out to Curtin, unfortunately done her ACL, she will be incredibly missed. And congrats to Michaela Brake actually on her pregnancy as well, recently announced, so she will be out for the rest of the season of course, but still to score 16 unanswered points with 11 players and almost pull off a comeback win. That was huge from our women. Shout out to the Hamilton crowd as well. I believe 6,000 odd in attendance. The biggest crowd we've ever had at an NRLW game here in New Zealand. So hopefully they can run it back this weekend. That is sights you love to see. But on to this week we go. Kick off Thursday night tonight with a poo slinger. Bunnies versus Dragons. Keon Kolomatangi back for the Bunnies, which is huge. He comes back from an ankle injury. Cody Walker and Brandon Smith named on the bench to provide some impact as well. Latrell Mitchell still not back. There's a bit of chat. Cam Murray might be back for this one too, but I think they are saving him for round 27. They got the bye next week, so it makes sense. Give him 2 more weeks to get ready before they try and spoil the Roosters season. For the Dragons, they're digging deep into their New South Wales Cup 4-pack. Hamish Stewart out, Jack de Belin out, Hame Saleh all out, concussion protocol. Of course, Fish took 2 of them out in the same tackle. So in comes young Jacob Halangahu and the old veteran and Ben Murdoch-Masila to start in the pack. Blake Lowry, he joins the bench. This is one for the purists. I'll back the Bunnies in to get the dub. 100th game coaching for Wayne Bennett for the Bunnies as well. So I think they might lift for that milestone. Dragons just depleted. Warriors did a real number on them last week, and shit were they brave to hang in that contest. So well done to the Drags on that matter. Actually didn't really touch on them in the old review. Heavily was biased here at Searley Talk Sports. Friday night footy. Holy shit, cancelled dinner plans. Tell the other half you're not leaving the couch. It is bums on seats time. And Friday night football doesn't get much better than this. Back-to-back barnstormers, 2 lip lickers, Panthers versus Raiders, Storm versus Dogs. How fucking good. Panthers versus Raiders, that's the first one in Mudgee. 3.5 hours inland from Sydney, only a 10,000-seater stadium. I get the feeling that NRL, when they scheduled this game, they thought it was going to be a shitter, and like many, thought the Raiders, probably wooden spoon contenders. Never in their wildest dreams did they think Canberra would be sitting first, Panthers in fifth. If that was the case, this one would 100% be played at CommBank. But it's great for the people of Mudgee. They get treated to a massive game, a huge clash. Raiders off a bye, Panthers off a heartbreaking loss to snap their 9-game winning streak. Strap in. This is going to be a goodie for the Rith. Skipper Isaiah Yeo named on an extended bench. He's looking likely to return after missing 2 games with a shoulder injury. And for me, he's the type of player, if he's named on an extended, he will 100% play. He doesn't really muck around. For the Raiders, Ricky, same 17 that bet Manly before their bye. Panthers, they've won 5 of their last 6 against the Green Machine, and I'll tip them here in a close one. I don't think many points are going to be scored in this one. Expect it to be a grind. 2 teams that love playing that style of game. Defence is going to be at a premium, but I'll back the Panthers just to get back into the winner's circle. Would love to see the Raiders get up, though, just to give us that Bruce buffer, the old buffer on the Panthers on the ladder. Storm versus Dogs, second versus third, straight after it. Can the Dogs bounce back and silence the critics? For Melbourne, Pappenhausen, he's named on an extended bench as he looks to return from concussion. Cammy Munster, listed at fullback for the time being with Pezza at 6, but you'd have to assume if Paps is good to go, which I think he will be, then money will go back into the halves and Pezza either drops out or into the 14 jersey. I thought he was all right last week, to be fair. Kicked a 40-20, and he certainly looks a good player for the future. Man, have they been patient with his development. He looks ready to run an NRL side around the paddock for sure. Nelson Asafa-Solomona, he is named on an extended bench as well. Played 2 games in the the Queensland Cup for them. Tough day at the office if you're a part-time plumber that rocks up to play Queensland Cup footy on a Saturday arvo with your teammates. You're still getting paid, but you're not a full-time player and you have to tackle big nas. Fuck doing that for fun. For the Dogs, no changes to their side, beaten by the Roosters last week, although a couple key players named on an extended bench as well. Satili Tupanua, potentially returning from a hamstring injury, and winger Marcelo Montoya, potentially back from a neck/circumcision. Both are in the frame for a call-up later in the week, so keep a close eye on that. An hour out for kickoff. Both will be massive additions for the lads from Bankstown. The Storm, they've won 8 of their last 9 against the Dogs. I'll back them at Amy Park to get the job done, but those team updates an hour out could be crucial, so keep an eye on those before jumping on the old Carmichael punt. Super Saturday, Manly vs Finns kicks us off 9th versus 10th. Loser can kick off Mad Monday early, in my opinion. For Manly, Ruben Garrick, the snack, he is out for the rest of the season, so Tommy Talau comes in to start at centre, and no Jakey Travojevic either. He is out with concussion, and I wouldn't be surprised if they lose this game, if they just let him put his feet up as well, play the long game with that one. Season would be over, so there wouldn't be much point, although I could imagine Jakey T wanting to play in that final game of the season against us, just to send his old mate DCE out and be out there in the middle. For the Finns, Felice Kafusi, old Finn Diesel, he comes back from suspension, as does Francis Molo. Matt Fangai returns from a shoulder injury, so the hammer goes back to fullback and Trey Fuller drops to the bench. Tough call there. Maybe a late change on Ways. Keep an eye out for that one. It's DCE's 350th NRL game as well. So Manly at home, Saturday Arvo, Brookvale. I expect there to be a massive crowd as they celebrate their most capped Manly player ever and their skipper. Shit, he's been in average form as of late, but if there's anything that could extract some good play out of him, you'd have to think it's a milestone like this. He becomes only the 5th player ever to achieve playing 350 games as well. So a salute to him. Personally, not a big fan of the bloke on the field, the old people's neck, but he does seem like a decent guy off it, and by all reports, he actually is. So I hope they go well and lift for him. A big crowd expected in that one. Then, main event. Titans, Warriors, revenge at Seabus Super Stadium on Ways. We've lost 6 of our last 7 against the Titans, but we've won 6 of our last 8 games on Australian soil. So I am confident we go to the Goldie, take care of business and bank an important 2 points. We need to drag them into deep waters in this game. The Titans showed last week they aren't willing to dig in at this stage of the season. A wooden spoon is looking likely for them. And it looks like any sign of adversity at the moment, they will roll over. And hopefully that is the blueprint for what we witness on Saturday night. In terms of the team, a couple changes to Webby's lads this week. Taine drops to 18th man. Chance Nickel-Klokstad back at fullback. A little bit rough on Taine. He's been in good form, but I genuinely do think C&K is our best option at the back. He's our running back. 220 plus run meters. Always trucks nuts. Starts our sets so well along with Dell and Rog. And I reckon we're going to benefit greatly from having him back, the steady hand at fullback, communicating and just doing his thing. I do like him at centre, but I don't think he's been able to get involved enough, and we miss his yardage meters. So welcome back to the 1 jersey for C&K. Tough for Taine. Like I said, he's a quality player that at many other NRL clubs he would be starting. And I'd still love a way for us to find a way to get him into our 17. Because he is a quality footballer, but man, we've got so much depth when you look at Healy and co missing out too. It's a nice little headache for Webby, and of course, all of this has been brought around because Rocco Berry, Bootlace Berry, he is back as well. My one hope for this game, apart from getting the win, of course, is that Rocco can get through this one injury-free, because in his appearances this year, although they've been few and far between, he has looked unreal. Defensively, he is so strong. Locks down that edge for us. And on attack, he's a nice threat too. So fingers crossed he gets through this. He's had such a shit run. Quality footballer. And I love seeing Rocco in our centres. So hopefully all goes to plan and the bloke is still on the paddock when the 80-minute hooter goes. Kurt Capewell, he's back. So that sees Lecker go to the bench. Looking forward to seeing his effort plays, leading the kick chase and just being a workhorse in general. Jacko Ford, gone, 3 weeks, suspension. And look, I get it's his 3rd strike for the crusher tackle, so that is why the suspension has been so heavy. But at the same time, when you factor in Kafusi gets 2 weeks for snapping Jacob Laban's leg, I think 3 weeks for that is incredibly harsh. As a result, though, Demi, he potentially gets the start, and I'm excited to see that. Although Webby, he's been known to make some late changes to the lineup for sure, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does that yet again. Maybe Marata into prop, Lecker into the second row. I'm just guessing here. Haven't been to trainings this week. But if Demi does get the start, the destroyer, then looking forward to seeing him back fencer off the opening kickoff. If they do kick that way, I just love what Demi has brought to the side this year. His game has been unreal, and I think him starting could take him to another level as well, which would be great to see. For the Titans, Brian Kelly and Jojo Fafita, they are back on deck. Bo Fermor goes back to the second row. Phil Sami moves to the wing. Regan Campbell-Gillard starts at prop with Jermaine Jolliffe out for the rest of the season with a knee injury, which I actually really like. He killed it against us at Mount Smart. Him and Mo Fotuaika had themselves career-high days, really. So I'm glad to see that old Jolliffe won't be able to do that against us this time. But overall, I think the keys for us, complete high, kick to corners, trap them, make it an arm wrestle, Tanner running the ball, Wade Egan up to his mischievous best around the ruck. That is how we get this game done. Limit errors, limit piggyback penalties, limit their opportunities to use their speed, expose them on the edges where they're weak defensively, and the points will come. Restrict them to under 20 points and we will get the dub. And no doubt there's going to be a massive Warriors crowd there at the Goldie. My wife, Kim, she's actually heading over, incredibly jealous. Fortunately can't make it. I'm emceeing actually a North Harbour Rugby 40-year celebration lunch, so I can't go. Other priorities, unfortunately. But up the mighty Wales, if you're heading along to this game, make some noise for our boys as we look to get the dub on the road and snap this pretty horrible hoodoo against the Titans. One Warriors final point actually before we move on to the other games. Kalis Fatialofa locked in until the end of 2027. I believe he was all but gone to the Panthers, but the Warriors upped their offer and that was enough to keep him around. He's only 20 years old. Another one of these young gun forwards coming through the club. He's a second rower. This year he's played the full 80 in 19 of his 22 cup appearances. He scored 12 tries to rank as the equal top try scoring forward in the comp. He's averaging 89 metres and 27 tackles a game, 12 line breaks, 12 offloads, 62 tackle breaks. He's another of these De La Salle lads that's come through the Pathways program, and he's another name to remember. Fuck me, does the future look bright. Him and Liquor will lock down our edges for a long time to come. This was a great get. When you have a side like Penrith, a powerhouse like the Panthers, trying to poach your talent, you know you're doing something right. And the fact that he was keen to stay and we managed to keep him, that is a huge dub for our club. So well done to Webby, Cappy, Cam George, and everyone involved in that. Great to see Kayla staying put. Eels versus Roosters. Roosters, no Daniel Tupou, but Junior Tupou comes onto the wing for his first NRL game as a chook. Suia Wong returns from concussion on the edge as well. For the Eels, pretty settled side. Joash Papali gets a run in the 6. Footy Dean Hawkins drops out. The Eels have only won 1 of their 10 games against top 8 sides this year, and the Roosters have won 6 of their last 7 against the Eels. So I think the boys from Bondi, Robbo's lads, they banked the dub in this one. Then Sunday, doubleheader to round us out. Knights, Broncos and Newcastle. Nice to see the Broncos leave Suncorp for once. Not many changes to both teams. Shout out to Ben Hunt, the Queensland cunt, for bringing up his 350th NRL game in this one as well. Big watching point for me here is around the Broncos, and if Walshy in particular can put in back-to-back performances that allow them to be considered a genuine contender. When they're hot, they're hot. When they're cold, they're fucking freezing. They should steamroll the Knights in this one, and anything less would be a failure in my books. So that's probably the main thing to watch here. And then Tigers versus Cows to round us out. I'm actually looking forward to this one. It could be another green tick game on the punt. Same game multi-season, so strap in. No changes for either team. No excuses for either side. The Tigers have won 9 of their last 11 against the Cows at Leichhardt, but the Cowboys have won 6 of their last 7 against the Tigers. So a bit of a pick-em. I'll ride with the Tigers to keep their slim finals hopes alive though. Try scorers galore in that one, should be a goodie on the punt. And then finally, before we move on from Rugby League, just wanted to touch on Payne Haas pledging his allegiance, moving across from Australia to join Toa Samoa. And personally, I love this. I think if we're going to build the international game back to being the pinnacle of our sport, then we need players, big marquee players, to make decisions like this. So I'm all for it, and I hope Tino and the Hammer follow him as well. Man, the Pac Championship is going to be stacked this year. Tonga looking so good. Kiwis, of course, we will always be strong. And then the Samoan side on paper. They were in the final of the last World Cup, and they were nowhere near as strong as this. It does make this Origin thing even more clear to me, though, that they need to sort out their eligibility ASAP. And for me, the quick fix here is you make an Origin window in season with internationals around it. It's a 3 or 4 week thing where the NRL competition stops, and I've been preaching about this for a while now, but this would iron out all the problems. It would take away the 30k payment per game in Origin on offer and make players decide whether they want to represent their island and Pacific heritage or whether they want to play Origin footy, because I do think that is a big decider. And at the moment, guys like Payne Haas, Brian To'o, they can get the best of both worlds. Bank the 30k per game for playing for New South Wales. That is 90 grand across the series. That is huge money. And then they can represent their proud heritage in the international season. But if you bring in this window, this Origin window, they're going to have to decide, well, Samoa versus Tonga, Play it on the same weekend as Queensland versus New South Wales. Make them pick. Do they want to be a part of that rivalry or this rivalry? I reckon that would sort things out, because at the moment, under the current rules, and I heard Bloke in a Bar talk about this, and rightly so as well, the Kiwis, we're the only team really being negatively affected by the Origin eligibility. Someone like a Kalen Ponga can't play for the Kiwis, but if he was Pacific Islander, then he could play for Queensland and for Samoa or Tonga. And I'm 100% for that, but I think you get what I am saying. I want the biggest names in the game to represent their heritage on the international stage, but it's starting to get even more murky. So I think they need to nip it in the bud now, come up with something. This is the rule, this is the line. And to me, this international period in amongst an Origin window 100% makes sense, and it would fix all the problems. It would stop the disadvantage that the Kiwis are facing at the moment too. Because, yeah, it's all just getting a bit much. But great to see Payne Haas make that call. Can't wait for the Pacific Championships. Shit, is it going to be good. We play Samoa at Mount Smart. Then we play Tonga at Eden Park. That atmosphere is going to be elite. Wish the finals was over here. It's over at CommBank, though. And to be fair, Western Sydney showed up massively last year when Tonga played Australia. It was a sea of red. But the fact Aussie aren't in this comp, but they get to host the final, is a genuine head-scratcher for me. But it is what it is. So much footy to look forward to this weekend, so enjoy it. Round 25, just 3 more games. Enjoy these moments while we can, because the off-season is long and it really does suck. Footy is almost done, or NRL footy is almost done for the year before we get into the international. So up the fucking Warriors. Let's go pump the Titans. Stay in the top 4. How good would that be? Onto the 15-man code, and I think it's only right we kick things off with the Wallabies getting a crazy win over the Springboks, 38 points to 22. They scored 38 unanswered points after the Springboks looked so dominant in the first 20 minutes. And the Wallabies get their first win at Ellis Park since 1963. Unreal scenes. And that Aussie commentary for me for that Max Jorgensen try, that right there just sums it up perfectly. The bloke's voice broke. That's how excited he was. It's great to hear that excitement again in Aussie rugby fans. This was the win that gives them true belief. And I just loved to see it. I thought the Wallabies out-springbokked the South Africans. They dominated set piece and the breakdown. They owned the physical areas and then moved the ball to release their dangerous outside backs and turn it into points. Shit, their back three is in crazy good form at the moment. And Tom Wright in particular, holy, what a player he is to watch. Basically the Wallabies version of Will Jordan. He has to be right up there with the deadliest players, ball in hand, in world rugby at the moment. Then in the forward pack, I thought Captain Harry Wilson was incredibly good. 2 tries and an impressive performance from him. Will Skelton, thought he played that enforcer role perfectly as well. Didn't take a step back to those big Springboks in their forward pack. And then I thought Joe Suali'i was really good too. His combo with Len Ikitau building really nicely for the green and golds in the midfield. A great result for Aussie rugby though. Makes me excited as an All Blacks fan for these Bledisloe Cup games coming up as well. Do I think they can go back-to-back against the Boks this weekend? 100% honesty, no I don't. I see Russie's named his side. He made 10 changes to the starting 15. That is cutthroat stuff. It's basically a job interview every week if you're pulling on a South African jersey, because Russie isn't afraid to roll wholesale changes, and that's exactly what he's done. But I do expect them to play less razzle-dazzle and more of that typical South African style this week with Pollard back at 10. I think they're going to try and outgrind the Wallabies. And saying that, going to South Africa and coming away with 1 win is a massive victory for the Aussies. So I think they're effectively playing with house money here. They've got nothing to lose. TAB odds certainly suggest no one expects them to go back-to-back. And their reaction at full-time last week, I thought it told a real story. They were hardly going crazy in their celebrations. They know the job's not done. This is just the start of the Rugby Championship. And you get the feeling they genuinely expect to go over there and pull off 2 wins. Massive stuff for them, the result of the weekend for me. Then, of course, following that, we have the All Blacks versus Argentina, a 41-24 win and a good result in a tough place to play. A win that took us back to world number 1 as well in the rankings, which I got a nice little surprise when I saw. Of course, helped out by the Wallabies beating the Box, but I was quite surprised when I saw that. I didn't know it was all that close, but I thought we looked pretty impressive for large patches of this game. There are a few periods there of aimless kicking which frustrated me a little at times, but I thought overall we put in a really solid shift, and it was Crusader-like really when you break it down. Our set piece ticked every box. We looked so solid defensively. Our rolling maul was really good, and that led to plenty of points. I thought our 10 minutes prior to halftime and our 10 minutes prior to full time, we were ruthless as well. I loved seeing us kick to touch off that penalty, final play of the game, and it results in points. So many times in the past, we would have just kicked the ball out, gone to halftime oranges, happy to be up. Instead, though, this team showed their intentions. They nailed it. That ruthless execution, those final touches that I spoke on last week that were missing at times in the red zone against France. I thought we nailed those, and these were areas of our game we needed to address the end of both halves. So that was very pleasing to see in what was a good win. I'm expecting much of the same this weekend. The RGs, they won't roll over. I'm interested to see the team that Razor goes with. Big Tamaiti Williams, Wallace Satiti, both apparently back. ALB and Patrick Tuipolotu both coming home injured. Shout out to Paddy T, actually. I thought he was huge off the bench. Fractured his skull. Massive dent in it. If you haven't seen the x-rays, go check out his Instagram. It is crazy. The fact he played through that is insane. His pain tolerance must be out the gate. The bloke is tough as shit, and he will be a big loss for us. Out for 6 weeks. His physicality and leadership off the bench has been massive. And in particular against a big Springboks side, he will be incredibly missed. But for my team this week, what I want to see Tamaiti come back in, probably off the bench to get some minutes under him. I want to see Wallace start at the 8, Artie back to 7, Duplessis Karifi off the bench. And I love what Dupes has produced, but I think his energy off the pine will be extremely valuable. Simon Parker, does he get a run at 6 or off the bench? I think Razor is a big fan of his, so he might give him a crack. And then in the backs, I'd love to see Leroy Carter get a go on the wing. And if not starting, then at least off the Rimu in jersey 23. I think his out-and-out speed could be a real asset for us. I'm still not 100% sold on our wingers at the moment, despite them going all right last week. And in fact, I reckon chuck him in for Finlay Christie, then we can really stack our bench. That is a bench bomb squad for backs. If you go Leroy Carter, D-Mac, and then maybe a Ruben Love, which opens up the chance for him to slot in there. Imagine bringing those 3 on to break a game wide open in the final 30 minutes against a fatigued defence. That would put lead in pencil for sure. But great to see the All Blacks go over to Argentina and get the dub. Well done to the lads. Hard to critique that one too much. Back-to-back dubs will be a great result for us, and that is what I expect. NPC footy, Taranaki, 50-8 win over Auckland. Probably the biggest result of the weekend. Tough times for Auckland. They got a young side. They were hit hard pre-game as well with illness, so they lost some star power so close to kickoff as well. But Taranaki, for me, so impressive. Hard-working, physical forward pack that's great round the paddock. They're so strong at set piece. They got Josh Jacob, the best 10 in the comp, pulling all the strings. Scored a hat-trick, great off the tee, kicking game elite. Some nice little nudges over the top. They were getting the bounce of the ball too. And then they got a guy like Jacob Ratamatavuki Nepkins at the back, looking as dangerous as ever. They got a shield challenge this weekend against Waikato, but they are looking so slick at the moment. Tasman, they took care of business against Northland. Harbour put up a good fight against Hawke's Bay, and at the 60-minute mark, I was daring to dream that we could pull off the upset here. Shit is Jed Melvin in some good form at the moment. In the end, the errors and some poor goal kicking really hurt us. But I'm stoked to see this team continue to build, and I think come the back end of the season, we will definitely pick up a few wins for sure. We've got Tasman this weekend, followed by Bay of Plenty next Friday. Not an easy fortnight by any means, but after that, I think our draw gets a little bit lighter because we have had a tough draw to start the year, and hopefully that is when the dubs will come. Canterbury, they bet Bay of Plenty. I thought Sam Derry was elite as he continues to return from injury. Really put his hands up to the All Blacks selectors and said, pick me, 2 tries, and he was just into everything as Canterbury fired a warning shot in Bay of Plenty to remain undefeated this year. A great dub for them. Wally, they went down 48 points to 41 against Otago at home in a game of touch footy. Not a lot of D played in this one, but it was entertaining as fuck, and if you like points, this was a great game for you to tune into. 89 points in 80 minutes of code. Jeez, that is hard to complain about. In terms of my power rankings for this week, there has been a little bit of movement, but nothing too crazy. I've got Otago replacing Wally in the 6th spot. I've got Hawke's Bay slipping 1 place to 5th despite being undefeated. I just thought they looked a little bit patchy at times against North Harbour. I've got Canterbury climbing 1 spot into 4th, so they've done the old switcheroo there with Hawke's Bay. I've got Tasman remaining in 3rd. Then I've got Bay of Plenty dropping down to 2nd and Taranaki climbing into the 1st spot. Geez, it's tough if you're a rugby fan at the moment in the Upper North Island. 1 win between our 4 sides combined, and that was for Northland in beating Southland. Tough times. Northland, Auckland, Counties Harbour, there's no doubt we need to sort our shit, but there's so much young talent in there that I think these teams probably are building for the future realistically. Hopefully though, Auckland play Northland this weekend, so there will be a winner in that one, and that will look a little bit better on the ladder, but geez, are we struggling? Tonight we get Bay of Plenty versus Southland. Great to see Thursday night footy back. Don't expect Southland to get pumped in this one, but I do think that Bay of Plenty will bounce back and be too strong. No Curdy Eklund for them in that game, but his best mate, Naitoa Akoi, gets the captaincy, friend of the show. So shout out to you there, Toa. Friday night footy sees Hawke's Bay take on Canterbury. That'll be a doozy. Top of the table clash. 2 undefeated sides going at it. I like Hawke's Bay in a bit of an upset in that one. More on that shortly in the old punting segment. I just think Canterbury, couple injuries, I believe, to some outside backs. So I think Hawke's Bay at home will be hard to beat. Super Saturday, 3 games. Kicks off with a Shield Challenge. Taranaki versus Waikato. And Waikato, historically, they've given Taranaki a damn good run, so I expect this game to be close. Waikato, of course, with Cruden and co. Plenty of experience, plus some youth in there and a lot of strike. Taranaki at home, though, this early in the season when the Shield fatigue hasn't quite kicked in yet, I do think they'll be too good. It's just so hard to see them losing games at the moment. The squad that they have assembled and the way they are playing, they just look bloody hard to beat. Harbour versus Tasman. Great to see Mark Talia back on the wings. Lots of Northcote lads in the lineup this week as well, which does fill me with joy. I think 4 lads starting, all in the forward pack too. So up the mighty coat. Tasman, expect them to be too good. I'll be at this game though, of course. Bums on seats, up the mighty furnace. But yeah, the Mako, I think they will get another dub here. And then Auckland versus Northland, referred to it earlier. One of these teams is going to get a win. Will it be Auckland's first of the year, or will Northland grab their second? I reckon this game is going to be incredibly close at Eden Park. Super Sunday, Otago versus Counties. I think Otago will be too strong at the Sistema lunchbox. And then Manawatu versus Wellington. Spoiler alert, I'm tipping Manawatu 1-12 as my upset of the round in the NPC this weekend at the TAB. I reckon the Turbos, they've been Wally's bogey side historically. I'm going to back the little brother to get the dub over the big brother. Get on board that one. I reckon the NPC could finish with a bit of a boil over. Finally, Black Ferns, shout out to them. They kick off their Rugby World Cup campaign Monday morning, looking to go back-to-back over in England. They start things off against Spain, which should be a comfortable win, but I am so looking forward to this tournament. It's going to be a goodie, so go get 'em, girls. Looking forward to watching us as we progress throughout this one. Let's get around our women, eh? The Black Ferns, they're an unreal team to support. They play an exciting style of footy with some of the Sevens girls in the mixer too. They are a great watch. So up the mighty Ferns. You best believe Searley, he's getting around ya, and I'll be covering that more in the pod as the tournament progresses. Back to back on ways. Big fizz. Right, let's have a punt, courtesy, of course, of our great mates at the TAB. Remember, the code this week is Searley. Place a first, second, or third try scorer bet on the NRL this week. And if your bet loses, you'll get your money back up to $20 as bonus cash. Limit of 1 per customer. Kick her off with Thursday night footy, of course, tonight's game. Bunnies, Dragons, Poo Slinger. I said it before, but there's actually some really good try-scoring odds in this game, which makes it a little more enjoyable. So get stuck in and still have a little swing. We've got the Bunnies at $1.85 favourites, the Dragons at $1.98. The Dragons haven't beaten the Bunnies at a core since 2013. AJ, 95 tries in 97 games at a core stadium. He's paying $1.82 in this one, which I think is pretty good value. Surely he gets at least one. His opposite winger, Ty Munro, 2 tries in his last 2 games, $2.25 is good value for him. He's an attacking weapon, and as is Tallis Duncan in the centres, $3.50. He scored 3 tries in his last 3 games, going great guns, the young fella for the Dragons. Matt Fangai, of course, 4 tries in his last 4 games, scored a double last week, $3.80. That's pretty good money for a bloke in good form. And Wayne Bennett, he'll be coaching his 100th game with the Bunnies as well, so perhaps they live for that. So for my same game multi, I'm going to go the Bunnies. The fact the Dragons haven't bet them at a core since 2013 just tips them across the line. And for my try scorers, AJ, Tallis Duncan, $7.16. Friday night footy, here we go, strap into absolute crackers. Panthers $1.62, Raiders $2.30. The total points in this one, 40.5 it's set at. I like the unders in that. I think it's going to be a real arm wrestle. As mentioned, the Panthers, they've won 5 of their last 6 against the Green Machine. The Raiders, they've played a Mudgee twice for 2 losses as well. For the Panthers try scorers, Casey McLean, 6 tries in his last 5 games. Of course, the one game he doesn't score in is the one last week when we jump on him for the People's Parlay, but still, I'm willing to forgive him. $2.95, still some really good value. In terms of value, your outsider for this one, IPAP. 2 tries in his last 2 games. Isaiah Papali'i, $6. Although if Yo comes back in and he shifts to the bench, I think that makes it a little harder to get around him. His odds will skyrocket though, so if you think he could go 3 on the bounce, then there's some good coin to be had for him. For the Raiders, Ethan Strange, 8 tries in his last 9 games. Scored a hat-trick last week though, which really does boost those numbers up. $4.10, some good value for him. Xavier Savage, KO Weeks, Chris, Matty Tomoko, Hoskins. There's good try-scoring options for all of these teams, but I really do think this one could be quite a low-scoring affair. For my same-game multi, I'm going to go Panthers unders McLean at $8.22, just to take some of these try-scorers out of it. I really do think I can see this being 22-18 to the Panthers, something similar like that, which gets us just under the 40.5 by the skin of our sacks. And this game turns into a bit of a grind. Then we've got the Storm versus the Dogs. $1.50 favourites, the Storm. Dogs, $2.60. Melbourne, they've won 8 of their last 9 against the boys from Bankstown. The Bulldogs have won 4 of their last 7 at Amy Park, which isn't a bad record at that venue, considering how hard it is to go there and win. To be over 50% in Melbourne, I reckon that's a dub for the Doggies. For the Storm, their try scorers, Xavier Coates, 11 tries in his last 8 games at Amy Park. He scored 5 tries in his last 3 games in general, and doubles in each of his last 2. He's paying $1.58. You'd have to back him to cross. For your value option, Joey Chan, no relation to Jackie Chan. He gets to start in the second row. Scored there last week. $6 anytime. I reckon that's really good money for the Doggies. And Ari Tuala, 3 tries in his last 2 games at $2.85. Same game multi, I'm going Storm into Coates. And Marion Sever, a.k.a. Marion Savia, wearing the glasses, the goggle god, $5.94. I don't love it, especially with that Sever thrown in there. But hey, it's a bet, something you can ride home. I think Coates first, second or third at, what is he at here? Just firing up the app. $2.70 is some pretty good value if you wanted to use the code on him, although I'd suggest going something a little more leery because you do have the bonus cash back insurance. So why not go on Joey Chan? Paying him the second row. He's paying $12 first, second or third. So there we go. Joey Chan, bit of a martial arts bet for him to punch his way over first, second or third. Yes, please. Super Saturday, Manly $1.95, Finns $1.87. The Dolphins have won 3 from 8 outside of Queensland this year, really struggling when they're not in the Sunshine State. Manly, they've only scored 6 tries in their last 4 games, which is pretty crazy considering the amount of talent they have in that side. Still, centre Tolu Koula, he's on an 8-game try-scoring streak when they play at Four Pines. He's scored in his last 3 games in general as well. $2.10. I reckon he's a great bet. Add to that as well, he scored 3 tries in his last 2 games against the Finns. So chuck him on your slips, as has Turbo as well, actually. 3 tries in his last 2 against the Dolphins. Didn't score last week. Back at fullback, $2.15. Don't mind that. DCE, of course, 350 NRL games in this one. $4.50 for him for a milestone meaty. And then for the Finns, the Hammer, 7 tries in his last 5 games. Scored 2 the last time they played Manly. He's at $2.05. Insane in the Jermaine Isako, 2 tries in his last 3 games against the Gulls. And the value option, Connolly Lemuelu, 2 tries in his last 3 games against Manly, paying $5.80 anytime. My same game multi, I don't really trust either team, so picking a result in this one, a head-to-head result, is pretty hard. I'm going to go Manly alternative line plus 6.5 in a real lift for DCE type of game into Tolu Koula and the Hammer at $5.56. Koula, first, second or third, $4.25, a great bet as a single as well, if you want to use your code and save it for some Saturday Arvo footy. Rolling in then to the main event, Titans, $2.55 underdogs, the Warriors, the mighty one New Zealand Warriors, $1.53 favourites. The Titans have won 6 of our last 7 against us. We've only won 1 of our last 5 at Seabus Super Stadium, but fuck those stats off. We've won 6 of our last games in Australia. We're going over to the Goldie and we're going to get the dub. For the Warriors, try scorers, Kurt Capewell, a try in each of his last 2 against the Titans. Didn't expect to see that. Starting in the second row here, $4.50, a pretty big value bet there. Roger, RTS, Tuivasa Step, the best calves, the best baby cows in all of rugby league. To me, he's a good pattern bet this week. You guys know I love those. He's gone no try, no try, no try. So that screams for him to dot down this week at $1.65. Wets, bagged a double last week. Adam Pompey, $2.70 anytime for him. And Rocco, he's back, old Berry, back to bring us some jam at $3.45. I think we score plenty of points on the edges in this game. I also don't mind a little live bet on Lecker when he gets his boarding pass, because I think you'll get him at better odds than what he's currently at. For the Titans, Jaden Campbell, 5 tries in his last 6 games against the Warriors, paying $3.80. AJ Brimson, 3 tries in his last 3 games against us at $3.05. Philip Sammy, the sandwich, 6 tries in his last 3 games, scored a double against us just a few weeks ago, paying $2.05. And then Beau Fermor, 2 tries in back-to-back games, paying $3.80 here. My same game multi, I'm going Warriors, Roger, Sami, $5.81 with Capes as a cheeky sniff as some value for an anytime meaty. Parramatta, $3.40, Roosters, $1.32. The last game of your Super Saturday, the Eels. They've only won 1 from 10 against top 8 teams this year. They just love beating up on other loser sides that are around them on the ladder. The Roosters, they've won 6 of their last 7 games against the Eels. Zach Lomax, 7 tries in his last 7 games, paying $2.15. Joshi Addo-Carr, a double in his last 2 against the Chooks, and he's paying $2.35 anytime, which is a nice price for him. For the Roosters, their best try-scoring stat in this one is Teddy. 4 tries in his last 6 games against Para at $2.15. No Daniel Tupou for this game, unfortunately. Marky Mark probably becomes your winger of choice in this one for the Bondi lads, so maybe you pencil him in as well. And Dylan Walker, Eels lock, starting 250th NRL game, $8.75 for a milestone meaty. Don't mind that. My same game multi in there. Going to run back the old hungover root bet. Unfortunately, it didn't hit last week. It was the Fox, which fucked me ironically as well. But fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I'm going to run it back and I'm going to chuck the Fox in there too. Roosters, Fox, Marky Mark, Wicked Wingers, hungover root bet, $4.14. Hopefully this week is the week it salutes. Super Sunday, Knights $3.50, Broncos $1.30. Knights have lost 9 of their last 10 games at home. Fuck, that's a horrible stat to read for Knights fans. The Broncos, they've won their last 5 straight against the lads from Newcastle. The XL Condom, Dommy Young, he scored 5 tries in his last 4 against the Broncos. And Broncos halfback, Benny Hunt, the Queensland cunt, he'll play his 350th NRL game this weekend. Crazy, him and DCE, Queensland half partners for so long, they will achieve this milestone on the same weekend, but he's actually scored 2 tries in his last 3 games against the Knights. He's paying $4.60 here. That's some really good value. The Knights have conceded 130 points in their last 3 games. At the start of the year, they were losing games all year really, but their defense was their one point of pride that they could look back on because they're actually tracking all right in that department. The last 3 weeks though, they've really shit the bed, waved the white flag, and they've given up all hope for this season. Same game multi, Broncos, Hunt, Katapani, $7.80. And then your final game of the weekend. As I said before, I reckon this is a chance to really fill up on some try scorers, so strap yourself in. The Tigers, they won 9 of their last 11 games against the Cowboys at Leichhardt, where this game will be played. The Cows, though, they've won 6 of their last 7 games against the Tigers. Quite the counter stat for the Tigers try scorers. Jarrell Skelton, 6 tries in his last 4 games. Dream Buller, 4 tries in his last 4 games against the Cows. Samuela Fainu, 3 tries in his last 2 games against the Cowboys. And Stafford Toa, 3 tries in his last 4 games against the Cows for the Cowboys. Second rower, Nanai, 8 tries in 7 games against the Tigers. Drinky, 5 tries in his last 6 games against the Tigers. And Dearden, 3 tries in his last 6 against the Tigers. All of those players, to me, are pretty good bets. Hope you managed to keep up. Also, Jerome Luai, 150th NRL appearance in this game. My same game multi, I'm going Leary here. I'm a man of my word. If I'm telling you to jump on try scorers, then I need to walk the walk as well. So I'm going for a smorgasbord. Nanai, Skelton, Buller, Dearden, Samuela Fainu, 533 to 1 that is paying. Why not? It's fuck it footy at its finest on your Sunday arvo. 2 teams that really aren't going to make the 8. I say they're a chance, but are they really? I'm not 100% sold. So we're going to see a display of all-out attack. $533, 5 try scorers, all with good stats against these sides. Why not? Could be the ultimate way to end round 25 for your NPC code. Some good games this weekend, so I'll run you through my picks for those as well. Of course, it kicks off tonight, Thursday night code. Bay of Plenty taking on Southland. I like Bay of Plenty to get the win in that one. They are your big, heavy betting favourites though, so the best way to extract some value, you go half-time, full-time Bay of Plenty. Or, if you're like me and you think Southland will put up a reasonable fight but still get overpowered in the end, Bot missing a couple players, but 11 to 20 exact winning margin, $3.80. I reckon that's pretty juicy. Hawke's Bay versus Canterbury. Of course, Canterbury going favourites, $1.80, and deserved too. These are both undefeated sides. Looking forward to this game. I've gone Hawke's Bay, 1 to 12 for the win. I don't know, part of me just really doesn't like Canterbury, so I don't want to bet with them. They're also battling a couple injuries, in particular in the back line, and I reckon Hawke's Bay at home will get up for this. $3.10. I reckon that's some real value there. Taranaki versus Waikato, Shield Challenge. I like Taranaki 1 to 12. I think Waikato will put up a fight. That's paying $3. Tasman versus Harbour. Unfortunately, I like Tasman half-time, full-time double at $1.37. Just too many weapons in the duffel bag. Auckland versus Northland. I'm just going to go Auckland on the nose, although I wouldn't be shocked if Northland got the dub, so maybe Northland on the line is the better bet there. I just want to see this Auckland team named, and again, I'm recording this before team naming. Otago, -6.5. I like them to cover the line against counties and be too good. That's $1.87. And then Manawatu, 1-12. I like them to beat Wellington. My upset of the weekend, paying $6. Get around them for the Rugby Championship. I think South Africa bounced back, a really strong side. They're $1.25 favourites. Australia at $3.80, which, look, is pretty disrespectful considering they did win the last game. But in all honesty, I think South Africa 13 plus at $1.92 is the way to go. Plus, I like them 11-20 as well for a little extra value. And then Argentina versus the All Blacks. I like us to cover that 10.5 line at $1.90. I just think we'll be too strong there and come away with the dub. 2 from 2 in Argentina. You love to see it. So good luck on the punt if you're having a flutter this weekend. As always, bet responsibly and only gamble within your means. Don't forget that code as well. Make the most of it. I know a lot of you froth it. And hopefully a lot of wins for you this weekend on the TAB. There truly is nothing better. If that Tigers-Cowboys bet comes off, I'll catch you in Danny Doolan's. The Bears will well and truly be on me. Right, that's us for the pod this week. A bit of a David Longy, so if you're still here, cheers for letting me punish your ears for an extended period. Hope you enjoyed the pod though, and I'll catch you back here, same time, same place, next Thursday as we look to rip in. Up the mighty lake, hopefully they can beat Kings this weekend to book themselves a trip to Nationals. Go the boys. Up the mighty Warriors, up the Harbour Heat, up the All Blacks, up the Black Ferns. Enjoy your sporting weekend. There's plenty to tuck into. And if you're having a few tins and a Carmichael punt, then please do so responsibly, but enjoy yourself. How fucking good is it? It's the simple things in life sometimes that bring us the most joy. But catch you next week.